Jeff Flock there. We want to bring in former Florida Congressman Colonel Allen West, along with terrorism analyst Matthew Graham. Good to see you both, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining us. Colonel, what do you make of that armament that was found in the couple's garage?
Well, there is no doubt, and it's good to be with you, Maria, that we can't look at this as something workplace violence or something out of normal. This is without a doubt a well-planned operation. For whatever reason, they were stockpiling this ammunition as well as these IEDs and pipe bombs, and there was probably something bigger that was being planned. For whatever reason, they decided to pull the trigger a little bit early.
Yeah.
But when we continue to hear this narrative where we want to dismiss this for what it is, Islamic terrorism and an attack, that is going to enable other attacks to occur. We're finding out that they had completely erased their digital signature, and they destroyed hard drives, and they erased their email signatures.
Yeah, I know. That's a really important point, actually. Matthew, what are investigators going to be looking at specifically to try to learn what the couple's plans were, and if, in fact, they were planning something much bigger, given the level of weaponry we're talking about?
Hey, good morning as well. Thank you for having me. Investigators are going to have a more difficult time based on the deletion of all of that electronic data. When you finally find a haven of where terrorists or criminals stay, you try to exploit that electronic data. And if that data has been deleted, isn't any of that information anywhere, then it's going to make it a little more difficult. As Colonel West said, that this may have been a premature attack. They may have had another location in mind. The amount of armament that they had and pipe bombs let it lead you to believe is there was going to be something bigger.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's only speculation right now, I guess, guys. But, at the end of the day, when you consider all of that weaponry, something must have happened at that party to set him off to leave and just begin the shooting spree then, because they obviously were planning something bigger.
It is speculation, I know, but you do think about that. When you think of what they're finding in their garage and all of the ammunition that they had, and here they were at a holiday Christmas function, you said, what set them off? Because it does seem like they were planning something much bigger. I know we don't know that.
Yeah, they rented a car. They, he was acting nervous a little bit 20 minutes beforehand, so I guess he was looking for an excuse to set him off.
Yeah.
But
13 bombs in the garage.
I think that, Colonel, I want you to speak to this. The one thing, the biggest thing, I think, that as hard as all of this is to understand or digest or even comprehend, that this woman is the mother of a 6-month-old child, and that people in this country do not understand the thinking of somebody who would do that, being the mother of a newborn, when they are, for people who are not students or don't understand radical jihad, radical Islamic terrorism.
Well, Dagan, one of the things we have to start to realize is that we cannot think rational. We cannot use a Western civilization type of mindset. When you look at what has happened in Paris between the Charlie Hebdo attacks and the recent attacks on November the 13th, when you talk about a woman that drops off her 6-month-old baby because the ideology is more important than that child. And I believe that if we are truly going to start to defeat this enemy, we have to start accepting their belief system, and this is something that goes all the way back to the Barbary pirates. I mean, the 1800s. This is not something new that the United States has had to deal with. When the Day of Algiers told Thomas Jefferson and John Adams that the reason why they were attacking our shipping and imprisoning our people was because they were commanded to do so by their prophet and in their book.
Matthew, one of the top stories in the Journal today is about the EU pressing telecom companies, the EU pressing U.S. technology giants to free up access to their user data in the wake of the Paris attacks. This gets to the topic of the metadata program and the fact that the U.S. lawmakers cannot properly track terrorism when you've got these, limitations in terms of them accessing the data from the telecom companies. Do you think that's changing? What do you think will happen in that regard?
I think the manner in which it's changing is part of the issue that's going to make this a little bit more concerning. People do not need to have comprehensive electronic communication in order to launch attacks. This is a man and his wife. The majority of their discussions were probably face-to-face. Their planning took place in their home, where people would come to their home, sit and meet, and then plan and act. So The metadata isn't going to be there because this is an organic piece.
So you don't think it matters? You don't think it matters?
I don't think it matters on a scale where when the Islamic Church has called for these acts for 1,000 years. So it's getting back to someone's individual will to act.
All right.
So
we will. Yep.
Yeah, we talk about these acts, and what is there's certain radicalism happening in Saudi Arabia as well with Wahhabism. How big of an impact is that playing out in terrorism as well?
15 of the 1911 hijackers are from Saudi Arabia and Wahhabists. Wahhabist is the state religion of Saudi Arabia. How big it is since the founding of Saudi Arabia, that is their belief system. We are engaged in an act of war that we are not even sitting at the table with. Colonel West can speak to the fact that what needs to take place is for the longest time, this administration has shackled the Department of Defense, either through the White House or the State Department. We need to loose our dogs of war, and we need to start fighting the threat where the threat begins, and that is in the Middle East.
Matthew, thank you.
And that's a very important point.
Sorry, Colonel.
That's a very important point. That's a very important point that he just brought up. And one of the things you all were talking about earlier was oil revenues. And Saudi Arabia, without a doubt, has been placating the Wahhabists through their oil revenues, allowing them their sanctuary, allowing them to promulgate and proliferate all across the entire globe. The fact that Saudi Arabia does not want to accept any of these Syrian refugees, but they're more than happy to build new mosques all across Europe and here in the United States of America, which is spreading that Wahhabi ideology. So we have to use all of our elements of national power, which includes our economic power as well.
Colonel Allen West, Matthew Graham, thanks very much, gentlemen. We will see you soon.
Thank you.